Today I unbox my SkidPro Tiller. Today is Cinco de Mayo. Ground out here has gotten dry enough to where I can get out there and work in it without getting stuck or frustrated. But we'll see how it goes. As you can see around the unit, looks like it's pretty well built. I'll have to read the instructions before I get it all connected, but that's what we'll do. Shout out to Eric out there who's been helping me with this. And we're going to connect it to my John Deere CT332. One thing I want to add is that when the shipment arrived, the pallet was damaged, but the straps were still intact. Made it for a little bit harder getting off their rig. But I don't know if that's because of the tines digging into the pallet itself, or whether it was just roughly handled in transit. So that's something that SkidPro can try to figure out. Okay, we got the tiller hooked up to the John Deere CT332. It went relatively uneventful. One thing I want to point out that I see that I really like is that when you have a hose on a piece of equipment, they have that piece right there, which is a securement so that your hose doesn't flop all over the place and get tangled up in the machinery. Really appreciate that. Connections went really well. So let's get this thing working. Okay, let's get the party started. Okay, so now that we finished our tilling, what I did is I came out here and I backbladed with my skid steer to cover up all the tillage that was there. Now, for the most part, we can see that the tiller did a pretty good job. My goal here really was to try to pull up as many of those roots out there in the background as you can see, and to flatten this area. And there's some areas where I didn't quite get it, but there was a lot of places where I did. So I used the tiller for that purpose. Also, this area is planned to be a plan to put lawn here. So it was really important to me that I kind of fluffed up the ground a little bit to where it will receive the seed. There's some low spots in here that I'll dress up later. Okay, so my total experience with this tiller was actually a favorable one. I do have some comments though, because the purpose of the comments is to make the company stronger and to point out some of the weaknesses where they can improve upon. One of my comments that I have is that this tiller operations manual and maintenance manual is something that is very lacking in my mind. A good 80% of it is safety. Safety is important, but when we're talking about operation of the unit, we want to know how to best get this unit to perform. One of the things that I noticed when I was operating it, I wasn't able to get more than 4 inches down in the ground, and the operations manual had no mention about how deep this tiller can kill. That troubled me because that's something that as an operator you want to know, and that information wasn't provided in this manual. Another thing is in the manual it said there was a requirement to have personalized instruction. Well, I didn't see SkidPro volunteer to come out here and give me instruction on how this tiller worked. There's also no instruction online talking about specifically how this tiller works in soil. So you can get instruction that way very easily, just by showing how the tiller works. Now, there was a SkidPro tiller video, but it didn't go into depth on the operation of the tiller itself. Basic operation only. It was easy to connect, easy to disconnect. It is a robust unit, I will say that. But so far as tilling the soil, I would say that it probably didn't do as well as a job that I had hoped. It didn't go as deep as I had hoped. It didn't spin as fast as I thought it would. My skid steer is a high flow unit, so it could definitely put out enough hydraulic fluid fast enough to turn the tiller blades, and I had it revved up pretty high. But I wasn't seeing this aggressive chop to make it go down. Lastly, notice that the grease zert fittings are protected, which is a good thing. And I hope that you found this video informative. And I appreciate you watching. Thanks.